Okay, look, we can't talk about mysterious oceanic disappearances, or as I'm calling them, damp disappearances, without talking about the Bermuda Triangle. Now, you've probably heard about this one before, right? Everybody has heard of the Bermuda Triangle. And if you haven't, then I don't know what you've been doing. What have you been doing? I feel like it was all anyone talked about in middle school. And then we all just kind of forgot about it and decided to go to Turks and Caicos was worth the risk. Well, I haven't forgotten. You'll never find me in Turks or Caicos. Either way, the Bermuda Triangle is still snatching ships and taking names. It's not a thing of the past, Barbara. To this day, it's still taking lives. So what I'm asking you to do is pack your water wings because we're gonna deep dive into the Bermuda Triangle. Great. So our story begins December 5th, 1945. As part of a U.S. Navy training exercise, 14 men in 5 different planes take off from a naval air station in Florida for a routine training mission. Now, this training mission was called Flight Number 19. That's what this mission is called. So it was a very routine thing that they were doing, and it was nothing new, right? Okay, great. The planes that they were flying were called torpedo bombers because they could go so fast, I guess up to 300 miles per hour fast. These planes did not look around. They were considered the workhorses of World War II because they were so reliable and the military could always count on the bombers and their pilots to get the job done. It was said that on the day of the training mission, the weather was like super sunny and unseasonably warm. What we do know is that around 3:00 p.m., everything was going according to plan. People were out fishing on their ships and they see the planes like in the sky heading safely east around that time. But then everything changes. Around 3:40 p.m., a distress call comes in from one of the lead pilots on this mission. Now, this was strange because this pilot had thousands of flight hours under his belt and had flown through World War II. I mean, this guy knew what he was doing. Anyways, so this lieutenant calls in saying both of his compasses are out and that he was lost. He's freaking out because without his compasses, he had no idea how to get back to Fort Lauderdale, and he had no idea where he was in the first place. So he's asking for help from the naval base. They're going back and forth, just in emergency mode. And then all of a sudden, silence. Ooh. One plane after another goes dark, and then all 5 planes in the training exercise just poof, vanished. Everybody back on the base was listening for updates, and they're just scratching their heads like, what the hell's going on? What's happening? Nobody could explain how 14 very experienced airmen in 5 legit planes, like some of the best airplanes ever, could just vanish into thin air. No trace. Where'd they go? Nobody knows. Despite this being one of the biggest air and sea searches in history, that would be the last time anyone had ever heard from them ever again. That sucks. Could you imagine? Where'd they go? That's so weird. Anyways, this wasn't the first time some weirdness was documented in this particular area of the Atlantic Ocean. You see, all the way back in 1492, everyone's favorite rapist and murderer, Christopher Columbus, he was out sailing, crossing the ocean blue, unknowingly towards the Bermuda Triangle. Oh yeah, get him, Bermuda, get him! At night, I guess he's out there and he sees like some bright, mysterious lights moving around in the distance out in the ocean. He calls his crew to take a look, but every time they would, the lights seemed to vanish and disappear, and they really thought nothing of it. Like maybe it was just a ship in the distance. Mary Celeste, is that you? You know? But then Christopher Columbus said that a glowing object came out of the water and started shooting towards the sky. This obviously freaked everybody out. I think all of us would be scared. Or maybe they're just on drugs. I mean, to be fair, we could all take this with a grain of salt. I think we all know that Christopher Columbus isn't that credible. He was known to get a little creative with his stories, add a little flavor to them. But my point is the Bermuda Triangle has been suspicious for quite some time. And Christopher Columbus's little journal entry marks the first time somebody had written down that there was something fishy going on beneath the waters in this little area. It wasn't just some like normal part of the ocean. And then we go to March of 1918, okay? The USS Cyclops is a ship that was used by the United States Navy and it's like this big old ship and made it all the way through World War I. They named it Cyclops because it was a freaking beast. And this isn't a ship that just goes missing. It's huge. It's got sharp corners. It looks like the Tin Man. It's indestructible. You couldn't even put a dent in this bad boy. This ship honestly looks aggressive. If you see a picture of it, it's like, woo, I'll fuck you up, man. Like, that's how this ship looks. So in order to operate this beast, the ship had a huge crew made up of 306 people. It was used for all sorts of things, but on this particular voyage, the Cyclops was carrying 11,000 tons of it was like carrying manganese. It was carrying manganese. 11,000 tons of this chemical element that was used to make steel at the time. So it's like the silvery metal. It's on the ship. And there's a lot of it. So on March 4th, 1918, the Cyclops sent out a message back to their home base saying, "Weather fair, all is well." Now, this would be the last time anyone would ever hear from the USS Cyclops. The hundreds of people on board vanished along with the ship without so much as an SOS signal. Now, this baffled the Navy. What happened? They ended up searching for months. And on June 1st, 1918, the Cyclops was declared lost and the crew officially deceased. Not a single shred of evidence from the wreck could be found. I mean, there's not a shred of the chemical, nothing from the ship, nothing. Just once again. In an article about the disappearance, it was said, quote, "She just disappeared as though some gigantic sea monster of the sea had grabbed her, men and all, and sent her into the depths of the ocean," end quote. It's still the deadliest unsolved mystery in the history of the Navy. Bermuda strikes again. After decades of mysterious disappearances, a magazine finally gives this creepy area the official name, which is the deadly Bermuda Triangle. Now, there are no official boundaries of this triangle, but if you look at a map, you'll see it goes from the tip of Florida to Puerto Rico to Bermuda and then back to Florida. It's a huge area of the North Atlantic Ocean, about 500,000 square miles, or like 2 times the size of Texas. A big old triangle. To make things even spicier, the Bermuda Triangle is smack in the middle of something called Hurricane Alley, which, as you may have been able to guess, is a very stormy area. It's said that the waters can get very choppy, huge waves will come out of nowhere, and it's just overall extremely dangerous. You're not going fishing in the Bermuda Triangle is what we're getting at. One of the first theories is fun and has to do with something we already covered. Some people think that the Bermuda Triangle is actually the location of the lost city of Atlantis, which, if you think about it, kind of actually makes sense. Has anyone looked into this? They think that the people of Atlantis maybe had some powerful crystals that were filled with tons of energy, like batteries, along those lines. Anyways, they think these crystals may have had the power to pull any ships or planes that cross over them all the way to the very bottom of the ocean. There's another theory, if you don't like that one. As always, America comes through with the aliens. Not even America. People come through with the alien theory. I mean, again, when in doubt, you gotta point the finger at somebody. Aliens, you can't prove that it isn't aliens. And when there's no women to blame, you gotta look to the little green man. And some people believe that aliens are using the Bermuda Triangle as a portal into our world, kind of like a black hole in the ocean. They believe the lights Christopher Columbus saw in 1492 was a clear sign that this portal was real. Yeah, for sure. So it's believed that these aliens are capturing humans and ships and planes into the Bermuda Triangle, take them to the alien portal, and then bring them up to their alien spaceship for research. Yeah, that sounds legit. I mean, it explains how a bunch of ships, planes, and people go missing without a trace. Aliens. Sure, I don't like that theory. I think that one's a little boring. The next theory, and probably the most scientific, compasses. Compasses. Oh yeah, we're gonna talk compasses. Compasses were the only thing people had to navigate the ocean at the time. Now get this. Compasses, if you don't know, work based on the magnetic pole of the Earth. And whatever freaky power is beneath the surface of the Bermuda Triangle is messing with it. it's throwing people way off their course. Some people think the high iron content that's left over from a volcano in the area is what throws this magnetic field off. No matter what the real issue is, people to this day can't rely on their compasses or other tools for navigation in Bermuda. All of the machines start malfunctioning. Where am I? My compass is no longer working. To further expand on that, there's actually videos you can see on YouTube where people go to the Bermuda Triangle with an old school compass, and you'll see the compass spinning around and around and around. Like there's something going on, like a magnet. And not only that, the waters in the area were known to have rogue waves, which are essentially massive waves that come out of nowhere and could reach up to 100 feet high and just wipe ships out. So the theory is that these waves were powerful enough to destroy all evidence of a ship or airplane. But like, there's nothing to prove that this was the case for the USS Cyclops or the guys on Mission Flight 19. Plus, if it was a powerful wave, there would be like, debris. It would end up somewhere. Anyways, look, all of these are theories and nothing is proven. Nobody knows exactly what is going on there. But what we do know is that the Bermuda Triangle continues to drag victims to their watery grave to this very day. Oh yeah, more than 50 ships and 20 airplanes have mysteriously disappeared, leading to hundreds of people just vanishing. Except for Christopher Columbus, though. He made it through for some reason. Come on, Bermie. We were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. You could have gobbled him right up. To this day, an average of 4 planes and 20 ships are said to vanish in the zone every year, leaving no trace behind. Not a boot, not a body, not a piece of wood, not even a button, nothing. Poof. God. The theory, my theory, the Bermuda Triangle has some kind of weird magnetic pool going on underneath of it, right? And it's sucking down all these ships and stuff because it makes sense. Just go with me, visualize, you're with me, great. So that USS Cyclops was carrying a bunch of that chemical compound, which maybe the magnet was super attracted to, and they had so much of it that it sucked the thing right down. There was so much of it on the ship, pretty powerful magnet. That's my theory. It's just a magnet. There's something going on down there. It sucked everything up. And if we could just get down there, I'm sure we could find what's going on, but for some reason, nobody wants to go like scuba over there. I'll do it. Never hear from me again.